What's going on, guys? My name is Noble and welcome back to the channel and another Star Wars The Old Republic video. Today, guys, I want to talk about something that I don't really go into that much on the channel because mainly I haven't had enough time to, and I didn't know how well it would be received, but I figured now would be the time, as Onslaught is basically 2 months away, and hopefully we see some better class changes, some improvements in certain, areas that, need attention, because I know that's true for a couple of different classes. One of those today, guys, is the Powertechs / Vanguard in pretty much every single spec. If there's one thing that I almost never see in ranked PvP, it's a Powertech. If I do see a Powertech, it's a skank tank because that's kind of the meta right now. So every once in a while, I will come across a Powertech tank, but usually the tanks in there are Guardians and some Assassins and Shadows in there, although I still don't know why they exist for ranked. Like Shadow tanks, they can be very iffy at times. But anyway, back to the Powertech, guys. That is a class that really used to be an amazing solo class to play in ranked. I'm thinking back to like seasons 1 and 2 running AP. That was a absolute monster to play against in PvP, especially in ranked. It was so bursty, you couldn't do anything really to fight it. It was really fun, probably was overpowered, but then again, it was a really fun class to play at the time. But since then, there really hasn't been a lot of Powertech changes that entice players to play it, at least in PvP. This is mainly because the lack of defensive abilities that the Powertech and Vanguard have. So if I had to choose between a Guardian tank or a Vanguard tank, I would take the Guardian tank for a number of reasons. One, it has a reflect. 2, it has more than it's like a NER. It has, focused defense, which basically gives you a second life as a Guardian. Those are 2 key things that I really look for, when I'm in a ranked match. I'm like, oh, okay, we have a tank. Thank God it's a Guardian tank, because even if they're taking damage, we know, okay, focused defense, inner, saber ward, reflect, like they've got an entire arsenal of defensive abilities as a tank, and even as a DPS. DPS jugs and Guardians do get focused in PvP a whole lot, especially in ranked, because they don't have, even with all of those things, enough DCDs to really, do a whole lot, during the course of a round, but they still have the ability to put out a lot of damage output and still have somewhat of an ability to save themselves, and that is where the Powertech and Vanguard fall short. So the Powertech and Vanguard don't really have those defensive abilities, but let's go over some of the main ones that we can use, which is Call to Overload, Energy Shield, Hydraulic Overrides, and Carbonize. You can probably slow your enemies with Oil Slick, or if you have, your Electro Dart up, you can use that, but you don't always want to be using that in defensive situations. As a tank or as a DPS who wants to peel for your team, you could save that Electro Dart, you could save the Carbonize for when your teammates are in trouble, and you need to slow the damage that's being dealt to them. Those are what those are for. But then, if you are just left with your Energy Shield and your Call to Overload is really easy to pretty much, counter. They pop it, you just wait for it to go down, and then it's done. And then Energy Shield, I've always felt that it has been weak ever since I started playing, like 6-7 years ago. Like it just isn't enough. There isn't enough there to, be like, oh no, Powertech has this up, get away, or like don't focus or whatnot. Like it's not like the Mercenary with, responsive safeguards that just destroy people if they fire into a reflect. I'm not proposing that we give a Powertech a reflect, but I do have an idea that might help with some of the damage reduction, and that would be a shield probe in a sense like the Imperial Agent has. I can't tell you how important and how much I've been saved due to the shield probe that my Operative and Scoundrel have. It is one of my favorite defensive abilities out of any of the classes because it's so strong and it does so much. Granted, they are not wearing heavy armor, but it does not feel like you're wearing heavy armor as a bounty hunter. It really doesn't, especially when you're in a 4v4, you are going to be the primary focus, especially if you're a Powertech. A Merc can be easy to burn if the Merc isn't, good, like bad mercs get burned. Like, that's just how it is. Even good mercs can get burned. It's just the way that the class is designed. It's really hard to move around and avoid those kinds of crazy damages. At least like with a Marauder, you can stealth out and get away and perhaps heal to full. I mean, kiting, we've talked about on the channel a lot. I've had videos where I've specifically said I've won as a merc because I kited. But, you know, sometimes you just don't want to kite. Sometimes you want to, you know, fight and, you know, play your class. But then again, you know, everything is different for everyone. I personally will kite. Obviously, you do what's necessary to win the game and win your engagement. But it's really annoying that, like, when you go in, you just, you know, can do so much before you have to run out. So I hope that in 6.0, Powertechs and Vanguards will get a buff in pretty much every way, up the damage a teeny bit, definitely give them more defensive abilities. And in a separate video, I'll talk about the tactical slot and the loadouts for Star Wars that are coming in 6.0, because it's a whole nother thing that I'm kind of excited about, but also not excited about. Mixed feelings. I don't want to say I'm not excited. I just have mixed feelings. But guys, what do you think? In the comments down below, do you think the Powertech and the Vanguard need a buff? Or do you think some of their, you know, classes, like class abilities, need a nerf? Personally, I would love to hear it if you guys think they need a nerf, because me, I don't think that they do. They need to be buffed up, and they need to be, you need to feel like you're a heavy freaking armored bounty hunter, especially when it comes to ranked, because these things just get shredded. The match that you were watching is not a ranked match, it was just a regular one, because I don't do ranked on my Powertech. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Noble. If you found this video helpful or just fun to watch, please chuck a like on the video, as that helps me with the YouTube algorithm to get it in, you know, suggested videos and come up and recommend it and things like that. Share it around on Twitter, everywhere you want. Let's get the discussion going. Anyway guys, my name is Noble, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later!
Don't try this yourself. It's extremely dangerous.